I call to order the Board of Education meeting, January 11, 2021. It is now 6:30. Can I please have a roll call?
Dr. Delaney.
Present.
Ms. Friedman.
Present.
Ms. Martinez.
Here.
Mr. Montel.
Here, I can hardly hear you.
Ms. Osborne.
Here.
Ms. Whalen.
Here.
Mr. Ahern.
Here.
Ms. Esposito.
Here.
Will you please stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be it resolved.
Be it resolved that the closed session be convened for the purposes of discussing privacy, personnel, and legal matters.
The
Subject matter of these discussions will be disclosed to the public when reason for confidentiality subsides. Although the board cannot guarantee it, the length of the executive session is estimated to be 60 minutes, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and proceed with business. Action could take place.
And a second to go into executive session.
I'll second. Well,
All, everybody, aye?
aye.
We are now in executive session. I have a motion to reconvene in a second.
Second. Second.
And I'd like to go to Mr. David Rubin on the subject of the ethics.
30th anniversary of the adoption of the School Ethics Act. And I've got 3 or 4 different versions of this presentation, but because everybody on the board, including our new board members, are already experienced hands in dealing with the School Ethics Act, we're just going to give a very brief overview of some of the highlights. As I indicated, this is about the 30th anniversary of the School Ethics Act. It was adopted by the legislature in 1991. When it was first adopted, it was worded so vaguely no one really knew what the heck it meant. But now that we've got about 30 years worth of decisions from the School Ethics Commission that have put some meat on the bone, so to speak, we've got a pretty good idea of what the School Ethics Commission thinks these different provisions mean. Enough so that we can advise board members of what the responsibilities are. I represent folks before the School Ethics Commission on a regular basis, and I can tell you that the vast majority of people who run into problems there do so because they either forgot what their role was as board members or really never understood what it was to begin with. So I thought I would just spend a moment touching upon that. What is the role of a board member? Unlike a lot of other public offices that you're elected to, board members have no executive authority. Your natural inclination when you're elected to public office is to perform constituent service, to help people solve problems, and folks who don't understand how school boards are configured don't realize oftentimes that when you run for a public school board, you have no executive authority to be running out and solving problems. What you have the right to do is participate as one of 9 members of a deliberative body, to come to meetings, to get information from the administration, to inform your judgment on things you're voting on, to debate with your fellow board members, to try to persuade them to your point of view at the table. You may have some other responsibilities. If there's a committee that you're appointed to be a member of, you may have some responsibilities there as a committee member. But beyond that, you really have no other executive powers, which can be frustrating to many board members. We're not going to go through all the provisions of the School Ethics Act. You know what they say. I'm just going to boil it down to a couple of basic principles that are just a reminder. And again, this is a refresher course for just about everybody on the board, but you know, just like spring training in baseball, it doesn't hurt to revisit the fundamentals once a year. So let's just take a look at some of the basics here. Number 1, board members may not use their official position to secure unwarranted financial gain or other benefits for themselves, their family members, relatives, or others. Put it bluntly, we cannot throw our board member weight around in ways that are designed to benefit ourselves personally. Number two, we got to remember that we are elected to make sure the schools are well run, not to run the schools ourselves. And here's an area where a lot of board members get into trouble, particularly those board members that tend to have a lot of time on their hands and makes it go around the schools, spending a lot of time. The temptation is because you are an elected board member of the governing body of the district, to feel as if you might have some authority to be directing people what to do or to be giving them information. Board members need to realize that they may not attempt to administer the schools. Their activities are limited to serving in the oversight role as one of 9 board members to make sure that districts are well run. Very, very important. Board members need to be wary of making any unauthorized promises or commitments that may be perceived as binding on the board. The example I've given here, I think, with this board before in earlier presentations, that the standard case of violation of this one is where you may be a board member, there are negotiations going on with one of our labor unions, you're not on the negotiating committee yourself, but you see the president of the union down at ShopRite in the produce aisle, and you kind of look at each other and say, you know what, our negotiating committees don't know what they're doing, let's go buy ourselves a beer, we'll settle this between ourselves, we'll settle the contract just over a drink. The negotiating committees and their boards don't even know they're having those conversations. That's a classic case of a violation of this rule. No authority to be having those discussions. Who knows what authority the other side thinks you have when you're engaging in these communications. Can't be doing anything that may lead someone else to think that you have more authority than you have, or to be making commitments that you have no authority to make. Confidentiality is very, very important, obviously. As a board member, and I say this to brand new board members, the moment that you are sworn in, you immediately have access to a ton of information that the general public doesn't have access to, that you didn't have access to 5 minutes ago before you were sworn in. It's information you provided weekly or bi-weekly before board meetings in your packets. It's information you may get from a conversation with the superintendent. It's information you may get sitting in closed session. Oftentimes when I'm there sharing information about legal matters, very, very cardinal rule of being a board member, you may not disclose information that you have access to solely because of your status as a board member. This is one where board members frequently get into trouble, and there are serious consequences when they violate this rule. And very, very important, board members should refer all complaints or concerns to the superintendent. This goes back to what I said before. And again, don't shoot the messenger, but the School Ethics Commission takes the position that you cannot run with problems yourselves. You may not fix issues yourselves. You're supposed to be the eyes and ears of the community. You're ultimately the decision makers in terms of oversight when you vote on matters at the board table. But if it's an issue that you hear about, you should either encourage that person to follow the chain of command or report it to the superintendent so that the superintendent, him or herself, can take care of resolving the matter. You cannot fix the problem yourself. Very important rule to remember here. In my profession, in the legal profession, we have our own code of ethics. And for many, many years, there was a rule called the appearance of impropriety rule in the legal profession. And the appearance of impropriety rule went something like this. Here's a bunch of rules you lawyers need to follow. And even if you follow all of them, if it looks to somebody like maybe you didn't, you could be disciplined for that as well. The appearance of impropriety doctrine. We did away with that appearance of impropriety doctrine in our profession. We told the Supreme Court, look, give us all the rules you want us to follow, we'll follow them. But don't tell me that my license to practice law can be taken away because of what somebody out there might have thought I did. Bad news for school officials is that the appearance of impropriety doctrine is alive and well at the School Ethics Commission. As a matter of fact, many, if not most, school board members who get prosecuted before the School Ethics Commission and are found guilty not necessarily because of what they actually did or intended to do, but because of how it appeared to other people. So, takeaway here is that the sense that what you're doing is coming close to the line of unethical behavior. Don't think that you're safe just because you're 10 feet on the right side of the line. You want to be 20 feet, 30 feet behind the line so that there's no appearance of impropriety to a reasonable observer. The School Ethics Commission, one of its main services it provides, aside from deciding cases, is issuing advisory opinions. If you have a situation where you're not certain whether what you want to do is legal or not, you can write to the School Ethics Commission before you take action, explain to them what it is you're thinking about doing, and they will write back to you and say, well, this is okay, or it's not okay, or most likely, typically in their opinions, will say it's okay as long as you observe the following conditions. And they've issued dozens of advisory opinions over the years covering all manner of subjects of interest to board members. There are limitations in their advisory opinions on your ability to engage in volunteer activities. And again, what are you if not volunteers? It's part of the spirit of being a board member. This is not a paid position. You're volunteers by definition. But in addition to volunteering for the board, you may want to volunteer to, maybe you come from a theater background, you want to be the director of the school play, you're willing to do it for nothing. Or you want to be a volunteer coach. Again, all with the best of intentions, but what the School Ethics Commission says is that you may not volunteer for activities where you are, you heard me use the phrase before, where you're in a position to exercise executive authority. So for example, play director. Can't be the play director because what does a play director do? He runs the show, literally. He determines who gets what parts, he directs other people around. They won't let you do that. Flipping burgers at the concession stand at the football game, they'll let you do that because you're not exercising any executive authority. You're not ordering other people around. So they've established in a few decisions some parameters there. Basic takeaway is if you're doing anything that gives you the power to direct other people what to do, they're probably not going to let you do it. If you are a regular presence in the schools to the point where people think you actually work there, they're probably going to discourage you from doing that. A ton of advisory opinions that preclude board members from being involved in negotiations on the personnel matters where they have a personal stake in the outcome, either directly or through a family member. We're not going to go through them now, other than to indicate that if you have those sorts of relationships, it's good to double back with me to make sure there's not an advisory opinion that keeps you from doing things you might like to be doing, and a bunch of advisory opinions that indicate limitations on board member activities if they have certain outside interests that may affect their ability to be objective as a board member. Maybe you're involved with one of our support groups here in the district. No problem with that as long as you step back and recuse yourself whenever that group comes before the board with an issue of their own. Just coming down the home stretch here, a couple of red flags to keep an eye out for. Whenever a board member or a relative in that board member's family is employed in another district, we need to press the pause button and look to see whether those relationships preclude you from being involved in negotiations with the corresponding union here. If you have relatives of your own who are employed in the district, which is perfectly okay as long as they were employed before you got here, there are limitations on your ability to be involved in personnel actions here, including anybody in a vertical line of command for moving upward from your relative, including all the way up to the superintendent. As I said before, if you are a board member who is regularly present in the school, we need to make sure that that presence is limited in a way that folks do not perceive you as acting with authority that you don't have. So again, that's my 10 or 15 minute spiel. That's my Monday night football version of this presentation. So prepared to take any questions if there are any. Going once, going twice. If not, I thank you for your attention and yield the floor back to our president, Mr. Ager.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rubin.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Good evening. After extensive discussions and based upon new information that we have learned today regarding the anticipated timeline for securing the necessary personal protective resources and materials, particularly plexiglass, to ensure a safe return for our students and staff, the district has made a decision to postpone the return of our K-12 students to 5 days a week of in-person instruction until such time the district can secure the necessary resources and materials for every school building and classroom to ensure the health and safety of our students and staff. So at this time, we are going to postpone that return. There was a letter shared last week from Dr. Micah that had the date of January 25th for pre-K to 5, as well as February 1st for 6 through 12. However, as I just stated, after these discussions and new information, we will postpone that return date for 5 days a week, and we will continue with the current cohort model that we have in place for the time being. As soon as we have the necessary resources and materials, and each school has had time to plan and implement, we will then look to bring our students back 5 days a week. And that is all. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Adam Nasser, who will share some updates and information regarding our district's facilities, maintenance, buildings, and grounds, and he can provide a little bit more information regarding the statements that I've just made regarding our return to 5 days of in-person instruction. Mr. Nestor?
You want to take our mic?
Good evening, everybody. I know this is a good discussion to have, but with regard to, we've gotten some feedback about some of the cleaning in schools, some of the chemicals that we're using, so I wanted to just talk to everybody real quickly about that. We have been enhancing our cleaning and our processes since the beginning of the school year when we started in the hybrid model. Our cleaning chemical that we use is called hypochlorous acid. It is a product that we are actually able to generate via two chemical generators at our high school and our middle school. And the process takes water and salt and electrolysis and creates very slightly acidic and a very slightly basic solution that is on the EPA's list for disinfectants and is probably the most sustainable and safe disinfectant that we can use. It is, just so you know what it's used in. It's used in water treatment, so you drink it every day. It's used in treating fruit and other things that you eat that is produce, so you eat it every day. And in this area, we're cleaning with it. It's also used in wound care. It's used in a lot of dental and ophthalmology offices. So in the medical field, it's a fairly well-recognized cleaning product. On top of that, another layer of protection that we put in on the cleaning was the use of surface swabs and the ETP testing. With that, it tests for the presence of organic materials on the surface, and we make sure that we do that anytime there's either a confirmed positive or a suspected, at least in the case of elevation of orange, when we have to shut down a classroom. Before we open it back up, we do test the surfaces in that room, anywhere from 3 to 5, depending on the exposure in the room. So we're taking as many steps as possible. To build off of Mr. Bombier's statement about the dividers, one of the challenges to this whole crisis has been getting materials. In the beginning of this, it was PPE, getting gloves, getting masks, getting goggles in some cases, face shields. That's subsided as the supply chain has caught back up. But when it comes to getting dividers and the sheer amount of dividers, it's tough. We can get it sometimes in 2 weeks. In some of the more complex pieces or heavy-duty plexiglass pieces, it could take 3 weeks to a month, not counting the procurement time on the front side and the installation and assembly side on the back side. So, we're working as fast as we can to get everything here installed and in place, and as soon as we can, we're going to make sure that we get everybody back safely. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a point of clarification, the students that will be returning, we have some specialized populations that, as part of our cohort model, are attending 5 days a week currently. Those specialized populations that have already been attending 5 days a week will continue. Everyone else will continue in the cohort model. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bombier, curriculum and instruction.
Sure, good evening. Beginning with Part A, travel, we have 2 staff members, CST, attending a virtual workshop on practical and effective strategies to improve self-regulation and executive functioning. That will be held as a virtual workshop. Moving on to Part B of the curriculum and instruction agenda. Item number 1 is an action item. Item number 1 is asking the Board of Education to approve the submission of a fiscal year 2021 competitive grant titled Addressing Student Learning Loss to the New Jersey Department of Education under the Coronavirus Relief Economic Security, also known as the CARES Act Elementary and Secondary Emergency Relief Fund. So we're asking for approval to submit this competitive grant. Item number 2, non-action. We're asking the board to approve the contract between the Matawan Aberdeen Regional School District and Dr. Renee Whalen, preschool master teacher consultant, to provide embedded coaching and professional development as well as technical support for our preschool staff. The preschool master teacher consultant will provide embedded professional development focused on curriculum implementation, assessment, data collection, and analysis to support teachers in their reflective practice and to ensure curriculum and program fidelity. This is part of the preschool expansion funding, and that account will be used to fund this consultant. And finally, item number 3 is asking the Board of Education to approve and adopt the 2021-2022 school district calendar, which is curriculum and instruction attachment 2. And that is all for curriculum and instruction.
Thank you, Mr. Bombardier. Ms. Perez, Special Services.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Under Special Services, under item number 1, we're asking for a revision from the originally approved contract with Brett Denubi on 6/15/2020. It's an action item. Brett Denubi updated their contract to state the following. The parties acknowledge that from time to time therapists employed by the agency may agree to provide services at the student's home. In that event, the agency and the therapist shall be deemed to have satisfied themselves that entry into the student's home is sufficiently safe and release the board, its members, employees, agents, and representatives from any claims for injury, illness to the therapist arising from such visits. The agency shall identify and hold harmless the board, its members, employees, agents, and representatives from any claims against them by the student's family, or any third party arising from the therapist's visit to the student's home. We're asking this to be board approved tonight, as we have some students who require additional support in the home to transition back to school, but also support in the home with some behavioral concerns. Under item number 2, we're asking for board approval to approve the following students to attend an out-of-district placement for the 2020-21 school year. The schools are listed along with the costs and effective dates. Under item number 3, we're asking for board approval for the following tuition adjustment for the 2018-19 school year, with the cost of $3,617 for the Children's Center of Monmouth County. And again, I'm reiterating that it's effective dates for 2018-19 school year. That concludes Special Services.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Mr. Lieberman.
Thank you. Good evening. Under personnel, we have 2 items that we're asking the board to take action on this evening. Item number 1, action item appointment of preschool teacher as listed. Action item number 2 is we're asking the board to approve the job descriptions as listed. Under non-action items, section A, resignations and retirements, 1 staff member listed for retirement. Under section B, leave of absences for 2021, 2 staff members listed, and this continues on the top of page 2 of 4. Under section C, appointments, section number 1, new hires for 2021, there are no names listed. However, there will be recommendations to the board at the random. No additional names for number 2 for student observers. Move down to page 3. Item number 3, curriculum instruction for 2020-21 school year. Thought partners is listed as TBD. There will be names for the random. Item number 4, extracurricular activities for 2021. Nothing listed under athletic. There are names listed under non-athletic activities and a TBD under hourly, which will be filled in for the rest. No new additions for number 5 for high school graduation chaperones. Moving on, nothing listed under items 6, 7, 8, or 9. Moving on to item 10, volunteers for 2021. 1 name listed as a volunteer at the high school. Item D, A, the HIB report from December 14th. And item B, approval of administrative contracts for 2021. That concludes personnel.
Mr. Lieberman, policy, please.
Under policy, we're asking the board to approve for a first reading the 7000 series policy 7510 policy and regulation use of school facilities for a first reading this evening. That concludes policy.
Thank you. Finance. Mr. Venanzi.
Good evening. This evening, we have one action item, which is approval of the school board code of ethics, which Mr. Rubin gave you your training tonight. So that's to formally approve the code of ethics. Item number 2 are the payrolls and bill lists for January 2021, which will be filled in for the RAM. We will also have items number 3 and 4 for the RAM, which are the monthly transfer and the financial reports for the month of November. Item number 5 is to formally recognize board members, since it is school board member recognition month in the month of January, so there's a resolution for the board to adopt. And item number 6 is an annual appointment to appoint the affirmative action officer, Mr. Liebman, for the balance of the 2021 school year due to the resignation of the former affirmative action officer. We also have the fire evacuation drills listed as item number 7, and the bus evacuation drills will be completed for number 8 of the ramp. That concludes finance.
Thank you, Mr. Venanzi. Right now, we're looking at public comments relating only to agenda items. Board of Education recognizes the value of public comments on matters of interest to the school community. Individuals wishing to speak must state their name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes duration, but an individual may speak a second time after all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. All statements should be directed to the board president. No participant may address or question board members individually. All speakers are requested to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect to the dignity and privacy of others whose legal rights may be affected. Please note, while it is not the board's intention to stifle comment on matters of legitimate concern, the public should be aware that if their statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, they may face personal liability to the injured party. If speakers are uncertain of the legal ramifications of their comments, the board urges them to seek guidance beforehand from their own legal advisor.
So I'll go in. Good evening, so I will go in the order in which they appear. First comment is from Diana Pell.
Hi, I'm commenting on the reopening being changed to 5-day. Is that part of the agenda items, or is that public comment in the other parts?
That will be part of the public comment at the conclusion of the agenda portion of the public comment.
Okay, thank you. Then I put my hand down.
Sure. Next hand raised is Ash Sheetal. You have a hand up?
Yeah, I had a question about the 5-day postponement as well, so just let us know when we can talk about that.
Okay, well, that will be a conclusion of this. Thank you. And that is all for the hands raised right now relating to agenda items.
With that, we're going to look at action on agenda items. First up, curriculum and instruction. We have a motion and a second.
I'll motion, Whalen.
I'll second.
Any discussion on those items? Roll call.
Dr. Delaney?
Yes.
Ms. Raven?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Montone? Yes. Ms. Osborne?
Yes.
Ms. Whalen?
Yes.
Ms. Ascoli?
Yes.
Mr. Ahern?
Yes. Next is special services. I need a motion and a second.
I'll motion. I'll second.
Roll call.
Dr. Delaney?
Yes.
Ms. Raven?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Montone? Yes. Ms. Osborne?
Yes.
Ms. Whalen?
Yes.
Ms. Ascoli?
Yes.
Mr. Ahern?
Yes. Next to personnel, can I have a motion and a second, please?
A motion.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Dr. Delaney?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Monzone? Yes. Ms. Osborne?
Yes.
Ms. Whalen?
Yes.
Ms. Escoli?
Yes.
Mr. Ahern?
Yes. Finance, can I have a motion? Right? Policy. Excuse me, policy, first reading. Can I have a motion and a second?
I'll motion. I'll second. Go ahead. I'll second.
Roll call? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Delaney?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Monzone? Yes. Ms. Osborne?
Yes.
Ms. Whalen?
Yes.
Ms. Escoli?
Yes.
Mr. Ahern?
Yes. Finance. Can I have a motion and a second?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Delaney?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Monzone? Yes. Ms. Osborne?
Yes.
Ms. Whalen?
Yes.
Ms. Escoli?
Yes.
Mr. Ahern?
Yes. Does the board have any unfinished business that they would like to discuss?
Kind of. Put it in either category.
This is Friedman.
Thank you. We, as the board knows, we lost Mr. Moore somewhat unexpectedly, and we talked about doing something for her. Mr. Nasser was kind of finding an idea for a bench or a picnic table. The picnic table is expensive. The bench is more affordable. So he's going to float those ideas around via email and see what people wanted to do. And see if we can make that happen for ideally this spring. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? How about new business? Any board members have any discussions for new business? Okay, now's the time of public comments relating to additional matters. I know we had two people on with their hands up, so why don't we go back to that? And just to remind you of the 3-minute duration, and if you need to go again a second time after everyone has spoken, then you can come up a second time. So, again, Mr. Bombadil.
Sure. Diana Pell is up first. Ms. Pell.
Am I on? Hello?
Yeah, you're live, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, okay. So, obviously, I mean, putting off the return to 5 days spectacularly disappointing. I really want to know, what was the board doing for the past 6 weeks, if not planning for reopening the buildings? Why did you announce the process of reopening 5 days if you didn't have this figured out? Knowing the administration's capability and Mr. Nasser's expertise, it's shocking that this disorganized mess happened. Open the schools fully, you're harming children. Thank you. Oh, 17 Idlestone Lane, Avenue.
The next comment, Sheetal Renecki, I believe.
You want to answer any questions?
I'm going to go back, and I think you want a response to that. And I think the response was already given by Mr. Nasser and Mr. Bombardier. And if you want to, you're looking for someone to take responsibility on that, I'm going to take responsibility on that. And I certainly apologize for that, and I'm completely in agreement with you. However, it has come to light recently, over the past, I'm going to say 24 to 48 hours, that what we thought was in the best interest and the safety of the children and staff turned out not to be, that we basically needed to move in terms of a more safe environment, especially for our elementary school kids. So that's the explanation I can give you. It's the only explanation I can give you. And I do apologize for the fact that the letter went out and we weren't aware of the holes that needed to be filled prior to bringing all the kids back 5 days a week.
Ms. Rankin?
Yeah, that's a colossal failure. The fact that you didn't know that, I'd like to know what the information was that came about in the last 24 to 48 hours that would require such a drastic reverse in course.
Mr. Nasser brought that up, and what came about was the fact that we didn't have enough plexiglass to ensure the safety and the health and the well-being of our children, and especially in the elementary schools. So we were looking at what we need in order to do that, and that's what caused, to be honest with you, that's what caused the break on the whole situation. We didn't know what was originally ordered or if enough was ordered back in September, and we had to put in a few more reorderings.
Okay, so we would like a timeline now as to the ordering process, when we can expect stuff. I'm willing to, I already have mentioned this several times, I'm willing to purchase my own plexiglass for my students as well as a few others who aren't able to do the same thing, because this is just, at this point, this is beyond inexcusable. I mean, I can't even tell you how great today was, and the fact that we're back to square one is just so disappointing.
Your questions will be answered by the end of the week.
Thank you.
Next, public comment, Cindy Santora.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy Santora. I'm new to the district. I recently moved here from Staten Island, New York. I did come from a pretty big district, and I've been nice enough that kind of figuring out how things work here as things go along. But I have to tell you that the one thing that comes to my mind over and over again is, why are we always closing the door after the horses leave the barn? Why are we always 2 steps behind where we need to be? And I'm trying to say to myself, is it that we're a small district? Is it that they're inexperienced? I mean, is it that other school districts in Jersey who seem to be making it work kind of are on point, and we're just always that far behind everyone else? I just got off of an incredibly disappointing parent-teacher conference with my teachers. And the big thing that they told me is, my daughter Addison, who's normally at 90 students, has gotten 36 in social studies, a 60 in math. She's barely passing reading. Why? Because virtual does not work. Let me say it again, put peanut galleries in that. Virtual does not work. Our children need to be in school. And the fact that you guys didn't count and have enough plexiglass is mind-boggling to me. I mean, I assume everyone knows what they're doing. How can we forget plexiglass? It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to order pencils, I'm sorry, I didn't realize kids need presents. I mean, this is the craziest thing. I think that we need some transparency. I need to know the timeline for when everyone decided that we needed plexiglass. I find it amazing that this board is always 2 steps behind. And I am absolutely furious that my senior is not going back on 2-1. I mean, I've had some amazing questions about going back 5 days, and the fact that I had to wait over 2 hours even to listen to you guys is crazy, crazy. And now I said to a bunch of people, I'm like, are they having us wait so long because they're hoping people kind of drop off and say, I'm gonna take a shower, or I'm gonna have dinner, and I'm at that point where I seriously think that, and I said, are we expecting a big announcement today? And everyone's like, no big announcement. Everything's fine, I didn't hear anything, everything's great. And I said to them, we're waiting 2 hours, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get slapped today. Something amazing's gonna happen. So I'm just gonna let you know that you guys gotta do better. You have to do better. You have to stop being so far behind where you need to be. And I don't know if that's just my New York City kind of mindset, where I'm used to boards being on point and being where they need to be, rather than scrambling to catch up to where they should be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Next public comment is from Lauren.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I live at 249 Broad Street. I just wanted to say thank you for making the decision not to go to 5 days. Considering COVID cases are running rampant in our county and state, I'm very glad that the board has made the decision to value the lives of our students and our teachers. Virtual learning is extremely difficult for everyone, but our children are resilient, and just because they don't know something now doesn't mean they won't know it down the line. So thank you again for valuing the lives of our teachers who go above and beyond for our children, and for valuing the lives and safety of our children.
Thank you for your comments.
Next public comment is from Kathy Feen.
She's unable to talk.
We will go to Stephanie B.
Hello. I came late to the meeting. I logged onto the Facebook group that we have and was alerted that all of a sudden now we aren't going back 5 days. And I'm scratching my head going, what the hell is happening? What town do I live in? To come on and hear whoever was speaking that they didn't know how much plexiglass they had, that this school's been closed since March. Can someone explain to me what the need for plexiglass is now? Because I missed that. Can someone please tell me what the need for plexiglass is now? That we just told our kids, hey, you're going back to school for 5 days, and now they're not going back to school 5 days because somebody didn't know, they didn't know how much plexiglass they had. If this was a real life scenario where this was someone running a business, that answer would be unacceptable. You guys aren't concerned about our kids. Yes, kids are resilient. Whoever made the comment before, yes. This isn't about safety. I don't know what this is about. As a parent, I'm so frustrated that I don't even know what to do. Please explain to me what the need for plexiglass is, because I missed that.
It has to do with the safety and the health of not only the children, but also the staff members.
Oh, I heard you say that. You have that down pat. You have that memorized as if you've been studying that as your answer. Okay, you're not a politician. You're here for our children. My taxes pay the school to run. My child hasn't been in school since March. And now he was just about to start going back 5 half days. And now you pull it back because of plexiglass? Give me a better answer because that answer is not acceptable. What is the reasoning? There are other school districts that are in Monmouth County that have been open 4 to 5 days, half days, and they do not have plexiglass. Please explain to me why we need plexiglass. Students and teachers are wearing masks. Why? Explain to me that. Why? Give me a different answer than what you just said.
That's the answer you're going to get, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Well, that's a terrible answer. And what was your name?
My name?
Yeah, what is your name?
Yeah, Mr. Ahern.
And do you have children in the school district?
My children are all grown.
Okay, so why are you making decisions for our children today? You don't know what it's like right now. You don't know what it's like for parents, for students, for anyone. You should be in charge of making decisions for our children in our school district today. To give me some BS, like you're a politician, like come on now. This is insanity. Our children need to be back 5 half days, January 25th. We all need to see all the information, all correspondence that are surrounding this need asked. Are you able to give that to us and not by the end of the week? Because it's Monday. And if this was a business, at the end of the week wouldn't be acceptable. So when will we be seeing that?
Ma'am, I'm not going to be giving you any of that information. What we're going to do is we're going to set a plan that's going to be based on facts, and it's going to be based on what we can do to maintain the safety and the health of our children.
Okay. That's cool.
Ma'am, you're done, okay? Thank you very much.
I can have Kathleen can come in as a panelist. Her version of Zoom is not up to par. I can add her. Okay.
We have to,
We will go to next public comment is Casey.
Casey's an older version of Zoom. You want me to make a motion? Casey.
We'll go in the.
Casey's up.
Okay, Casey, you're there. Okay, go ahead.
Hi. So, I have just, Casey grew up in 19 Inway Lane, Farmingdale, New Jersey, 077. I am the association president. And I have sat and listened to these board meetings for the last week, and have heard a vocal minority consistently say that there are no problems with sending people to school. In fact, if we look at the current data, which they currently ask for all the time, the case rate is up over 1,000% since we started school. The positivity rate is up over 500%. If you look at our own COVID dashboard, prior to when we went remote, our cases were going up and up week after week. And we currently had 19 cases last week. We've already had, a few cases today. Now, in saying that, it boggles my mind that I hear people so willing to put the lives of staff members on the line. Do they think we don't want to be back? It is difficult teaching remotely. However, this is real. We've had staff members get the virus. We've had staff members have family members get the virus. We've had staff members have family members get the virus and pass away. So I'm tired of hearing that this has nothing to do with teachers, staff, and the union is pressure. This union has worked hand in hand with this Board of Education to open this district safely. We were part of the reopening plan, and we were there the whole way. Now, on another note, given the fact that cases are so high, and I know that some people are not going to want to hear this, we have current populations in the building that are going 5 days a week, where they have to take their masks off, and they're there full days. The teachers of these classrooms are deathly afraid because they have no idea of the interactions that these children are having. And the less that they can take their masks off, the better it is. So I think we also need to, in addition to pulling back on that schedule, I think we also need to talk about the current 5-day schedule that's in place for our self-contained groups, because the teachers that I'm speaking with in there have some valid concerns. And while I don't expect that to be taken care of tonight, I do think we need to sit down at some point and start to look at their concerns because they are valid. They have been troopers throughout. But now there is a real fear as Monmouth County is in a very high-risk zone in terms of case rate. And we don't know what our students are doing outside of school. So just to put a button on this, I'm tired of hearing that there are no cases and that this doesn't impact students. You can say it doesn't impact students and that's fine, but you cannot guarantee the health and safety of the staff that work in this building. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Next public comment is from Bobby M.
Bobby?
He has to click into the message.
There we go. Bobby can go.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Bobby, you're on.
They have the floor.
Bobby M., are you available for public comment? Okay, we will go to Jared Zusi.
Then, is it open?
Is Jared Zusi available for public comment?
Say it again, Matt.
Is Jared Zusi available for public comment?
Yes, how are you?
Good, you are live, you can go ahead.
Okay, I live at 12 Inglewood Lane here in Matawan. I just wanted to start off, obviously, a lot of parents are disappointed with the diversion from going from 5 full days, half days in school, but, you know, I'm a police officer, my wife's an emergency room nurse, and in both of our careers, they always tell us, fail to prepare and prepare to fail. Well, you guys have failed our children, we've done it over and over. Teachers every day, and I remember back in school, you always told your children to be organized, be prepared for school. If you don't prepare for school, you're not going to do well in school. Well, you guys weren't prepared, and you were very disorganized with this whole preparation of getting our kids back into school. Each one of you should be disappointed with that. To go and piggyback off of what the board president just said, he's sick and tired. Well, we're sick and tired too as parents. As I said, my wife is a nurse, she's a registered nurse, she works in 2 separate emergency rooms. She's been working in this pandemic for the last 10 months. She hasn't caught COVID. You know why? She's been prepared with proper PPE. Myself as a police officer, I haven't gotten COVID. You know why? Because I've been prepared with proper PPE. I'm taking the responsibility in on myself to go to work every single day and be prepared. There's not anything more essential than teaching my 7-year-old second grade. Thankfully, her teacher's been great this year. Okay, she's not going to be the one that's left behind. Okay, we're able to afford that for my daughter to make sure that she's not left behind. You have failed properly prepared each one of these teachers with proper PPE so they can teach our kids. As I said, my family, everybody that I talk to, extremely disappointed with the job that you've done. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I can't say it enough. You guys expect our kids to go and be organized. You expect them to sign in every day on these computers. You expect them to be on time to school, to stay concentrated and engaged at home with a million different distractions for 7 hours a day. Yet you guys can't get your act together and get them back to school. Each one of you guys should be ashamed of yourselves. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Keep safe.
Next public comment, going in order, is...
Want to try Bobby again?
Okay, we'll jump up. Bobby M., are you available for public comment?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Bobby Mansfield. I live in Smith, 545 Smith Court. And I wanted to say how disappointed I am to hear that they're not going back to class. I'm shocked because it seems like I don't know who decided to send that letter out, but what you're doing emotionally to our kids is damaging. I have a senior, and just before Thanksgiving, when it said we were going full remote, I saw his face when I told him, and it was devastating to him. Fine, we made it through. The day that the letter came out that they were going to go back 5 days a week, you had to see his face light up. He was so happy to be able to go to school. I've heard my kid who hates school say to me time and time again, wow, it wasn't until it was taken away that I realized how much I loved school. And that's what you're doing to these kids. If you're making these decisions without realizing that you
don't have enough material to send them back, don't keep doing that to them. Don't keep offering them up hope. It's almost a year now, and they haven't been in school. It's devastating. You have to understand how devastating this is to them. The other thing I want to say is, what is the transmission rate in school? Restaurants have been open, movie theaters are open. I mean, the grocery stores have been open all this time, and a lot of our high school kids work there. Is there any transmission rate in the school? Has anybody caught it from a student? I don't understand this either. If everyone's wearing masks,
Ma'am, I really can't answer that question at this particular time, but as I have mentioned before, it's the holdup and the revision of the plan really is centered in the safety and health of not just the children, but also the staff members.
My husband and I have both been working through this whole thing, and neither one of us have caught it. We've been wearing masks and washing our hands. I don't understand. If everybody has to wear a mask in school, why? I really am surprised. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next public comment is Lawrence DeCosta.
Can you hear me, John?
Yes, I can hear you, Flo.
Hi, good evening. Florence DeCosta, school counselor, Madawan Regional High School, Lyfield Crest Court, Homedale, New Jersey, 07733. In November, it was decided that the district would change to full remote learning. And at that time, the region's COVID-19 activity level was high. And presently, our region's COVID-19 activity still remains high, and by all recent reports, it still seems to be increasing. So I cannot understand why it was released that we would be sending students back 5 days a week. So I understand why parents are upset, because they get information with the hopes of sending their children back, and then all of a sudden, they're sent back 3 steps. I've been a teacher and school counselor for 29 years, and I truly understand the importance for students to receive in-person instruction. But I want to know, at what expense do some of these people think that we should be jeopardizing everyone in the school districts? Unless there's specific data to support the safe return of instruction, it should have never been presented. No one has the right to gamble with anybody's life. We do not know how many students would have even returned by this option. We have 32 students assigned to classrooms inside of the high school, and if those 32 children came back, how can we safely distance those students? We can't make promises we can't keep. And there are many people who will say that younger children don't get as sick when they have COVID, and while that might be true for most young adults, it doesn't mean that it's true for all of them. Are you willing to take a chance that even one of the students can get seriously ill or worse? And lastly, there are many people who say that only older people or those with underlying conditions get very ill and or die from COVID. Well, that group of people includes students' parents, grandparents, teachers, staff members, administrators, and the family members of those dedicated workers that they go home to. All of those people, are they dispensable? Are they casualties of COVID-19 because we simply want to return to 5-day instruction? I'm glad that the board made this decision. I'm disappointed that they released it early, but I'm glad they made the decision. And may you and your families never know the pain of losing someone you love from COVID-19, like I lost my dad on November 14th of 2020. And that illness, that COVID, came from another district, home to my brother-in-law, back to my dad. And so I understand why we have to take a step back and think about what we're doing. Thank you. May everyone stay healthy.
Thank you for your comments.
Next public comment, Kathy Keene.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks, because I had trouble earlier, so I apologize for that. What I wanted to say earlier, prior to Casey Baroka speaking, as much as my colleague Flo DeCosta just expressed, I also wanted to express how important it would be, hopefully going forward, that everyone would respect the opinions of the staff in the district and give us the courtesy of a survey where a lot of this information would have been disseminated prior to you making an announcement to return to school. After all, we are the ones on the front lines, and we are the ones in the buildings, and we are the ones that could, we're the ones that could let you know, what's needed, and what, maybe we could possibly use some more of. So that's what my comment was. Just please include us as stakeholders in this whole process. Include us in the conversations going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next public comment is from Rachel Aronofsky.
Go ahead.
Is Aronofsky, are you there?
Hold on.
I'm sorry, can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my name is Abby Aronofsky. Rachel is actually my 5-year-old daughter who uses the computer, so I apologize. I live in Wellington Place. I have 2 daughters. One is Samantha, she goes to Lloyd Road, and Rachel goes to Strathmore. I have 2 questions. One is, why do we need the plexiglass if you have them wearing masks? And this has been going on, you have people going 5 days a week, I believe. So that's one of my questions.
Okay, primarily in the elementary schools, square footage to be able to guarantee their separation by 6 feet very often is under 6 feet, but it's the recommendation of the CDC and other agencies that, to keep them perfectly healthy and also to keep the staff healthy, is that it's not just the wearing of masks, but it's also the use of the plexiglass. Because if you think of some of the elementary school classrooms, unlike high school, is that you can end up getting 24, 25, 26 kids in a very small enclosed space. So you're going to try to do as much as you can to maintain the health of not just the students, but the adults that are also in the room.
Okay. Only because, there's people that have been going 5 days a week, am I correct?
Those were, yeah, there were some kids were going 5 days a week, but there was enough plexiglass masks, etc. Those are some of the special programs.
Okay. My next thing, and I'm going to say this, I have the utmost respect for the teachers that they are doing a really great job. I understand, they have concerns and all that. But, nothing. Are these teachers, and of course none of my business, are these teachers home, not going to food stores, not going to Costco? I see teachers shopping all the time. So, for them to say that they're so concerned about they're getting sick, they're out and about. It's not like they're staying home either. I've seen it. So, my thing is, my kids have been cooped up, learning virtual for so long that it's just, and now you tell them they're going to go back 5 days, and then you tell them that they're not going back 5 days. It's not fair. It's not fair what's going on. I'm not going to sit here and yell at you guys, and that's what I'm not doing here, but I see the concerns of the teachers, but that's what they do, they teach. That's what they chose. That's their profession. So, for them to sit there and they want to argue this point as well, it's not fair. They're, like I said, this is failing our students. This is failing our children. And as far as this plexiglass, why didn't we know this months ago? I know my best friend lives in Manalapan. Her kid's going 5 days a week. There's no plexiglass there. Keensburg, Holmdel. How is it okay for all the other districts to go, and now there's a problem with our district? I feel like every time we take a step forward, we're taking 7 steps back. So, it's very sad what's going on here. It truly is. Whether these teachers like it or not, they chose the profession to teach. I have been going to work. I'm in the medical field. I've been going for 10 months. I haven't been home. And I wear PPE when I'm at work. I have to put myself out in danger every day. So, you know, that's my profession. I chose it, that's what I do. So they chose to teach, and now that they seem to have a little bit of an issue. But if they're wearing masks, you know, I just don't understand. And that's really all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much, and please stay safe.
Next comment, Mary Beth McFadden. Mrs. McFadden.
Yes,
are you
yes.
Unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, my name is Mary Beth McFadden, 22 Angela Circle in Hazlet, New Jersey, 07730. I am still currently the vice president of the Maria Union. In fact, you all voted on my retirement today, effective as of May 1st. It was with sadness that I put in for my retirement as of May 1st. I thought I would teach for a few more years. But seeing what I saw when I was in school last year, and then also at the beginning of this year when we came back from remote, and I advocated to stay remote for a long time with the board during summer meetings and committees, I felt I had to say something tonight. I truly have loved working in the district. I have been a dedicated teacher there since September 1st, 1977. And I just feel that the district and the Board of Education tonight made the right move to keep the staff and students safe. Because when I was in the fall, I witnessed what was going on when the different cohorts were coming in, and then we were bringing other cohorts in, and it became unsafe. I was in a classroom with my co-teachers as a special education teacher, and we weren't able to socially distance the way we should have been able to socially distance. Some children became sick, some staff members became sick, and I just feel that in the best interest of the staff and students, and primarily the students, to put this off for a little while until we have the proper safeguards in place is the right thing to do. I'm devastated in many ways that I put in my retirement papers the way I did because I wanted to teach for so many more years, but under the advice of my physician, with my age and an underlying health condition, she said she did not feel that the situation at the school was safe. I want to say that every staff member in the building and every administrator and central office administration and board member is doing the best they can to keep everybody safe and to ensure that everyone gets the education that they deserve. And there's not one teacher in the district who is not doing to the best of their ability to give your children the type of education that they deserve at this point in time. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you.
thank you very much for your service to the children and the community of Matawan and Aberdeen.
Next public comment is Jennifer Raposa.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Raposa. I'm at 93 Aberdeen Road, and I just want to say thank you for putting our students and staff's safety first. The decision to keep them 3.5 days was a smart one. With the rate of transmission being so high, my daughter of course wants to be back to normal, but at this time it's not safe for her or for students and teachers. So I thank you so much for making that decision.
Thank you for your comments.
Next public comment is from Nick Rocco.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, it's actually Sandy Rocco, Nick's mom. I guess he signed on.
His name is on my iPad. 39 Chilton Lane, Acton, New Jersey, 07747. I've been listening to everyone speak tonight. I want to reassure every parent, as I am a teacher at Strathmore School, I will reassure every parent that I don't think there is one teacher anywhere who doesn't think that students learn better in the classroom. With that said, I would love to have all the kids back in the classroom and for things to go back to normal. I'd like my life to go back to normal, just like everybody else. But it's still not normal out there. And yes, I go to the grocery store. I have to eat. And yes, I do leave my house for other things. And I'm not afraid because I've already had COVID. But that's not the point. The point is that if the board has, or the administration has reason to believe that it is not safe, if they cannot share that information with us right now, I'm going to believe that they have a reason why they're pulling back. And I know that it's disappointing for the kids, it's disappointing for the teachers who want to see the kids and who want to bring them back up to speed if they need to be. But it's not normal times. You have to think of this pandemic as almost a war. What would, it's very similar in the effects that it has on everybody emotionally, psychologically, physically. So think of it in broader terms of just what's going on with your child. Teachers are working so much harder than they have before. And I just want to make that perfectly clear. Thank you for letting me make a comment.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Next comment is from Jacqueline.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, my name is Jacqueline Kruzik, 375 Golden Street, Cliffwood Beach, New Jersey. Thank you for allowing me to comment. I am an instructional assistant in the Aberdeen School District, currently working in Strathmore. I've been working for 20 years now, and I'm a 29-year member of this community and taxpayer as well. I'd like to echo some of my colleagues' sentiments. I too can assure every parent out there and every board member that there is not a single teacher who does not want to be back full-time under normal teaching circumstances. We all miss our children dearly. We didn't get into this profession to, make a nice cushy life for ourselves. We're doing this work because we honestly love it. We love working with students. We love watching them thrive and seeing them learn. It's a passion. But I do have to say that for the most part, I have been quite happy with the transparency and the flow of information that has come from the administration and the Board of Education. Having said that, when I listened to last Monday's board meeting and then received the community letter, I was quite upset because, quite frankly, as so many people have demonstrated so far tonight, the data does not suggest that we are ready to go back to a 4-hour-a-day, 5-day-a-week learning model with bringing back, probably, this is an estimate, but twice the students back. I work in early childhood education, currently this year in kindergarten. Any parent out there that has a child of that age knows the vast and many needs that those children require from caretakers and from educators and staff within a school building or a daycare center or the like. I'll give you just a couple of examples. There are students who require hand-over-hand assistance with a number of new skills that they're learning, things such as cutting, learning to write, using manipulatives, holding materials, navigating technology, assistance with snacks. I could sit here probably for a half hour and list all the various things that our early learners need and the assistance they need to accomplish and learn to do those things. Also, you have children who have, that are young, that have bathroom accidents and require physical assistance. And I can't imagine our parents would be very pleased if we did nothing to help their child. And by the way, none of us could do that. I can tell you within 10 minutes of starting our school year, I was having to help hand over hand with the child. Of course, my hands were washed beforehand. Of course, I used, had a mask on. I used hand sanitizer. But it is virtually impossible to maintain the social distancing guidelines that we have been asked to follow. It's far more manageable with this hybrid situation. I shudder to think what we would have to be going through if we had twice the amount of students in one room. It's just a recipe for disaster. And tonight's board decision has restored my faith in their promise to not only teachers but to the students in our district that they are putting our health and safety first and foremost above anything else. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. So at this time, I believe we've gone through all of the public comments, so we do have one repeat. So I will start back at the top with a couple of public members that have already spoken. But before that, I will go to Cheryl Kish.
Okay?
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Hi, my name is Cheryl Kish, 752 Lexington Drive, Brook, New Jersey, 08724. I am currently the Maria treasurer and have a special ed teacher at the high school. Let me start by saying that I look forward to the day that students can be back in the building for full days, 5 days a week. I see my students struggling. I see my own children struggling in our school back here at Brick. But I only support it as long as the students and the staff can return to our school building safely. I haven't stopped teaching since the pandemic affected our schools last March. I support my students and their parents in any way possible to keep the lines of communication open on a daily basis. And frankly, I'm really offended by some of the comments that some people made tonight, thinking that teachers don't do what they're supposed to be doing. I signed up to be a teacher, and I will always be a teacher. That will never stop, and that's always going to be in my heart. I'm an active member of the high school pandemic response committee and was on the leadership of the planning committee over the summer, both of which put the health and safety of our students and staff first, as we spent many hours planning reopening the schools for the 2021 school year. Moving forward, I hope that you bring back the leadership and planning committee or something similar to help plan any future phases our school district could create. This committee included all stakeholders. We had people from all walks of life, all, parts of the community, staff, students, parents, everybody. And we all worked together for many hours throughout the summer, sometimes had disagreements, but we all in the end came together to create a plan that helped successfully open the school in September. I just urge the board to please make sure that you have all stakeholders involved in any future decisions that you create for any future plans or phases that you do have for our district coming down the pipe. Thank you for letting me make comment, and again, thank you for making that really difficult decision that you did to me.
Thank you very much.
Okay, at this time, there's no new public comment, so I'll go to Cindy Santora.
Hi, as I said, this is my third meeting with the board, and I'm really excited that we have so many union representatives who decided to attend today. So this question is for the board. How much conversation did you have with the union about opening 5 days? I want to know if this turnaround had to do with the fact that the union has decided that this is not a good idea.
No, that's not the case. And being that I'm new to the position, all I can tell you is what I said before, and that is the information that came to us on the board, and we discussed at length in executive session this evening, was again.
So are you gonna tell us who gave you this information? Was it a member of the union?
I think everyone here is a member of the union, but basically the questions I asked and what came known to me was the safety and the health of the children and of the staff. And knowing that what we needed material-wise to ensure that to the best of our ability was not there at that particular time. So that's why we reversed on going from the letter that went out to going back to the cohorts.
Okay, so I can completely understand where the union is coming from. They want to protect their members, and I can understand that. What I don't understand is, and again, I have no problem with my children's teachers. My daughter who's in Lloyd Road is absolutely amazing. It's not working, but they really are trying very hard. But it doesn't change the fact that teachers are saying that they can't go to school, but grocery clerks can go to supermarkets, that nurses can go to ERs, that training directors can work in a building with 10 other employees and train with them. How everyone else seems to go to work safely, but I keep hearing from the union about how unsafe it is for them. And I'm just not getting why it's unsafe for them, but not for anyone else. I'm not getting it. So I really think we need a lot more transparency between the board and the union, and we need to know how much conversation is going back and forth, and how much are their decisions and conversations having on your decisions. Like, are you talking to them on a regular basis? When you decide to open 5 days, do you consult them first? Do you get their input? I think we need to have transparency on the board when it comes to the union, because I kind of feel like we did a round back face, and now all of a sudden I think we had like 4 union members here today, which is amazing because I don't think I heard one teacher or one union member in any of the previous meetings. Now all of a sudden they're out in force. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
It looks like our last public comment is Ms. Bernanke.
Thank you. I just wanted to share some information. So I don't think anybody really believes that 32 children will be in a classroom, because as we know, we still have the option for anyone who doesn't feel ready to send their child in fully, that they can keep them remote. And we know that that's been about half of the population so far. So, you know, that's kind of a false scenario. There's never going to be 32 children in a classroom. I don't think anybody is saying that there are no cases. We understand that there are cases, and we understand what's going on. What we're saying is that there is a risk versus reward scenario that we have to look at, because the risk of keeping children home, you know, it will help them from either spreading or, you know, contracting one virus, but they are at risk for many, many, many other really dangerous things. And there are students who are losing their lives at their own hands because of this, being, you know, fully remote. And I would venture to say that that number is maybe even close to equal as those who have succumbed to the virus. We know that, you know, children, you know, do very well and don't succumb to the virus very easily, but there have been very, you know, a significant number of kids who have taken their own lives. So we have to just do a risk-reward, you know, analysis about, you know, what's going to be good for our children, you know. So there's that. As far as staff, we are concerned about the safety of our staff. The teachers are on the list for 1B for the vaccine rollout. I would encourage teachers who are concerned about their safety to, you know, go ahead and register. The registration is open. The state of New Jersey is is going, through the list, and teachers are 1B on the list. My husband is on that list as well. He'll be getting his vaccine. I think that's a great way for people to feel safe and comfortable. I had a few other things that I had written down, but there were so many comments that were made that just kind of is making my head spin right now. About the vocal minority. We're not a vocal minority. We are a majority. It's just that people are busy. And there's a handful of us who are speaking for so many others who are contacting us when they have time, privately, in our group. And, that group is public because we're being transparent. We are being transparent with our goals and our responses to what's being done. It's not a minority. It's just that there's only a few of us that are willing to fight. And we're not giving up. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And Mrs. Pell?
Hi, kind of piggybacking on what Cindy and Steele said, I mean, the conversation was really taking a bizarre turn there. I mean, parents' response is not based on emotion alone. So many parents on here are in workplaces every day without a 6-foot distance. They wear masks. We're in offices, work sites. It's just, that's the thing, it's 6 feet or masks. I understand there's been some confusion when it comes to the schools, but that's generally speaking how the rest of the world is working right now. Now, we put signs on our lawn that say thank you to our first responders, nurses, police officers, paramedics. Well, you know what? My friends are nurses, police officers, and paramedics. You're not providing a basic service to their kids right now. That's why people are upset. And because the reason given is bold. I won't say the other part so I don't get cut up. Yeah, we're not all of us together right now.
Thank you.
And Casey? Casey?
Yep. Go ahead.
You left?
No, Casey's up. He's up.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Casey.
Perfect. So I just want to correct one that I heard. It was stated that masks for 6 feet. The New Jersey Department of Health, which is the organization that is guiding and providing recommendations for reopening schools, clearly states that masks are not a substitute for social distancing. That is from medical professionals. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.
Hold on.
Sorry. Hello. David Monroe, teacher at NAMS, 30 Spruce Street Field, New Jersey. One part I think that people are forgetting is that in our school district, as diverse as it is socioeconomically, and also how our schools are set up with a 4-5 school where all kids in both towns come to, MAMS, the only middle school where all students come to, and one high school. We do have busing concerns because the majority of our community is working, 2-parent working or 1-parent working, and their parents are required, the children have to take a bus to get to school. So I think one thing we are forgetting with this 5-day a week is that it gets very difficult to maintain that safety on the bus without substantial cost to the district in added routes, privatized routes, and public. And I also know that there's comparisons to other school districts. For example, here at Keyport, Keyport has a fraction of the student population that we do, so they may find it easier to open full-time because when you're dealing with about 1/4 of the students that we have, it's easier. And also, on a side note, towns like Old Bridge, for example, have decided to stay fully closed until March. So as much as it's not what we all want to do, I do applaud our district for trying to get some resemblance of teaching going on live, because there are surrounding towns, besides opening 5 days a week, that are shuttering their doors 5 days a week as well. So I do applaud the work and effort that people try to do to maintain safety, and that soon enough we will be back to normal when we look back at these days. But again, I just wanted to bring some of those points that we all say classroom, 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 but there's other moving pieces in the school day that I just don't think people realize because they're not in our profession or what we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. At this time, I want to move for a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.